Hey guys, so it's me again, and I'm back with a second review on the Prismacolor Premier Drawing Portrait set of the brush tip markers. And a lot of you have asked for this swatch of every single marker, which I did not cover in my last video because I had not done it yet, because it was the unboxing and kind of like a first impression, so obviously I did not have this ready, but a lot of you, well, not a lot of you, but I did get a comment or two asking and requesting this, so I figured I'd just make another video for another future reference for anybody who's trying to get this set. So here are all the colors. I will excuse me. I will link or not even link. I'll leave it at the very end of the video. I will have a picture of this. So if you don't like looking at it this way, you can either pause it or you can wait till the very end and look at it then. But if you want to pause it now, trying to get a good, angle of it. But this is a swatch of all the colors that are in this set. Now I've had this for a while and I wanted to have a little bit of a side note now that I've got the swatch for you guys. I wanted to make a note after having these markers for a while. I've noticed that, I said in my last video that when I had showed you like the label and I told you I didn't think it was that big of an issue, it's actually a bigger issue than I thought, because find myself spending a lot of time twisting it around trying to find a thing. And I tend to keep it in the in what it came in, which it came in like a box and then it was sitting in this. And I guess it's easy if you have it directly like this, but 9 times out of 10 you're not just gonna like perfectly set it down in the case. So it would be like this. And when you've got a lot of colors that look alike, it becomes a little difficult to find the color that you want. It's like, see right there how I didn't set them down perfectly? And then if you're going like this the whole time, nope, that's not it, nope, that's not it, nope, that's not it, it gets kind of frustrating. And a lot of times I found that I've passed the marker, like I've already found it and then I passed it, because I'm just a blind bat. But I don't know if that could happen with you, where you're like searching and searching and you didn't realize that you already passed it. But I found that's actually a bigger issue than I thought it would be. I mean, I guess like you could get really good with familiarizing yourself with the number if you wanted to do that, but I feel like it's a lot easier if you just can learn the names versus PB209 and then PB198. I mean, it's not like the hardest thing, like you couldn't do that, but I just feel like a lot of people prefer to just know the name and associate that with the color that they're looking for. Also, another thing that I found is not all the markers, but I found that some of the markers are hard to open. I don't know if it's just me. I mean, not all of them. It depends which one. Like, see, now I'm having like no trouble. Of course, when I start taping, I have no issue opening them. I mean, maybe it's just been my position that I've had trouble opening them at times. But you can just tell, like, even though like I'm not really having trouble opening them now, you can see how like I'm having to use a little more force to get them open. Obviously, I'm not like this one. Yeah, see, that one was harder to open. And no, I'm not a weak person, but I mean, when you're trying to grip something this small, this is like a weird, awkward grip first of all, and then it's just like a weird way to tug, especially when markers shouldn't be difficult to open in the first place. I'm not really like a weak person. I just don't feel like I should need to be using, yeah, you see that? I don't feel like I should be having to use that much strength to open my markers. I mean, I obviously have the strength to open them, that's why I can get them open, but I just don't feel like I should be using that much strength to do that. And I found that these markers, maybe it's just my set, maybe it's a lot of people's issues, but I found that it's just been a lot more difficult to open them. So that's one other thing to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind when you get these markers is, although they're very pigmented and they're very nice compared to like a cheaper brand, they do, what is the word? They do kind of, what is the word? Like, stain, I guess? I know the word, or, I don't, it's on the tip of my tongue, but like, I didn't do like the most perfect job at this, but for the most part, I did a pretty good job staying in the lines and I'm not like a little kid who can't stay in the lines, so for the most part I did a good job at staying in the lines, but as you can see, it kind of like leaks or stains into the, like, what's the word? Where it bleeds. Okay, yeah, it bleeds a little bit, like where you draw it. So like even if you're an amazing artist, you kind of have to like be careful of how much ink you exert onto the paper, onto that section, depending how much you need, because it will, if you didn't need it, like obviously I wouldn't want it on my pink, so I put a little too much ink. Or, you know, that's just what happens when you get too close of a line if you're trying to stay inside of the line. So that's another thing to keep in mind. It's like it will bleed a little bit. And if you're afraid of bleeding, it's not major bleeding, so if that's something you're afraid of, is if like it's gonna bleed a lot. I've never had an issue where it bleeds that much, but it does bleed just like a smudge. And if you're one of those people where that even that little bit bothers you, then you know, that's something that you'll have to weigh out when you're buying it. Another thing is, because some of them are hard to open, when you're even though they're not like so hard to open that you can't, but just that force that you see me doing, that's a lot of like, you know, jerking motion. So I've come across times that when I'm opening it like that, it will splatter. Now that doesn't happen very often. It's actually very seldom, and in fact it's only happened with like, I think it's only happened with the red marker that I have, and that's not even in the set. So it's very possible that's not even going to be an issue for you. So I wouldn't like automatically rule out these markers because you're afraid that if you open a marker too hard, because you are like me and you get a set where it's a little difficult to open them, or you have to use more strength to open them than you thought you'd need. I wouldn't rule it out purely because of the fact that it could splatter. You're always welcome to just kind of turn to the side and open it. And, you know, that could be annoying, but, you know, if you're looking for a cheap alternative, I think that's something that you can outweigh with the pros, because this is still, after having these markers, they're still pigmented, like I said in the last video. They're very nice. I like the color option that you get. Another thing is, when you are drawing, and if you're doing it for portraits, because I mean, that is what the set is for, but I mean, there's multiple other ways you can use these. I don't use them for anything but portraits, but I personally have not been doing a lot of portraits. But when I have found that almond milk and eggshell are probably your best friend if you're trying to do the typical, just like, I don't know, I guess typical white person, or I mean, it's a good base for, I guess, any color. I've watched a lot of people who use like a lighter color, even if they're drawing like black people or Hispanic people. I've found that even though they're obviously going to use darker tones eventually, I feel like eggshell would be a good way to start out first, and then you can always darken it with these colors and stuff like that if you're trying to get Hispanic, or if you're going for a black person, obviously you'd use the brown colors. But I found that I originally, when I got these markers, I tried to use cream because I thought that was like, especially when I was starting out just drawing, you know, white people, because that's the easiest for me to start out with. And I thought cream would be a great start, but I realized it's way too yellow based. So I just wanted to throw that quick tip in if you start, and to keep that in mind, because it's very yellow based, and I feel like eggshell and almond milk are more toned down to a good base to start with, and then cream can be for maybe lighter tones in a white person's skin, or just white colored skin. And I just wanted to let you guys know, because I thought I have ruined a couple drawings because, like, oh my gosh, I made that way too cream colored, and I cannot fix that because it is marker. And sometimes you can fix it by coloring over it, and maybe it makes it look better, and your mistake ended up helping you. But a lot of times it doesn't, and you're stuck with a really yellow based person. And are there yellow based people out there who are like, who have this color based tone? Sure. But a lot of the drawings I just envisioned, because it was doing it from my head and not a reference photo, it was way too yellow for me. So just to keep that in mind, and that is all I have to say, I believe. So you can weigh out the pros and cons. The cons being, you know, sometimes they're hard to open. It's a little annoying to be searching It's a lot more annoying than I thought, because when I originally found it, I didn't think it would be that annoying because it's just on the side. I mean, I didn't think it would make that much of a difference if it was on top or not. Especially a lot of times when you grab your markers anyways, they're like this anyways, compared to like if you're taking them out of a thing, and then it is more convenient to have the name on the cap. But a lot of times I don't pick up my markers that way. So I thought, oh, well, I mean, it doesn't really matter because now it's on its side, and it's a lot of times my markers are already on their side, so I didn't think it mattered. But I found that it bothered me a lot more than I thought it would. Again, I really don't think that's a deal breaker, but it's definitely annoying. I will say that. But other than that, I mean, just watch, be careful with the bleeding. It's not like major bleeding, like I said. Just when you're trying to uncap it, if you come across one that's on tighter than the rest, just be careful. Maybe turn your body a little bit so you're not directly over your drawing, because I have ruined drawings doing that. Unfortunately, I was doing it on white paper and I had a white gel pen and I kind of just covered it up. Even that isn't 100%, so again, if you don't like doing that, just keep that in mind. So I hope that this helps. I will have a picture at the end of this video of the swatch that I have done for this video, and I hope that you are more informed in your decision in buying these, because I think it's still a good choice, especially if you're starting out. And even if you're starting out, it's still kind of pricey for people who are starting out. So maybe if you're kind of like moving along and you're advancing and you think you want to try more advanced markers but not Copics because they're more expensive and stuff, like price wise or personal level of art wise, I think these are great for maybe not like beginners, especially if you're not sure if you're dedicated to art yet and you're just I wouldn't recommend just busting your money on expensive art supplies if you don't plan to be doing art for at least quite some time, because I don't think you should invest in expensive art supplies if you don't plan on doing it for a very long time. I think it's just a waste of money, and you could use it for something that you enjoy that's going to last longer and keep you entertained more. So I think this is better for if you've been doing art for a little bit and you're trying to open yourself up to more supplies that you've had been working with already, and you're trying to try a new brand or something like that and see the pros and cons and what you like and don't like. So I hope this helped. I know I've said that a lot, but I hope it helps. And that if you have any more questions, hopefully I've covered everything this time, especially now that I've had them for a while. I hope I covered everything. And I apologize for this review being a lot longer than I thought, because I didn't think it'd be this long, because I thought I would just show you guys the swatches and say, okay, well, here you go. But I hope you enjoy this one, and that I covered everything. If you have any more questions, you can comment below. You can contact me through my Instagram, which is Artistic Universe. I'll have that in my description link below as well, because my username does not have an A in artistic, but it still sounds like artistic. Anyways, you can comment on there, you can DM me, you can comment on YouTube, however you want to contact me. If you have any more questions, I'd be happy to answer, and thanks for watching.